VTubing is full of dedicated, talented,
A lot of weird folks on the internet just saying stuff out loud these days, huh?
and genuinely entertaining creators.
No, 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 no!
Its popularity keeps climbing with millions of watch hours each year. But beneath that, there's a troubling pattern. Some creators weaponize loneliness for profit. I wanted to see what VTubing looks like to a newcomer, so I created a blanket Twitter account and searched VTuber. Within minutes, I was flooded with sexualized content and posts positioning creators as single and looking for a partner. Now, X's algorithm deliberately surfaces boundary-blurring content because it drives engagement. That's how the platform makes money, but that's exactly my point. The platform economically rewards these tactics, and some creators have built entire brands around them. To be clear, sexual content on its own isn't inherently exploitative. Risque ASMR or lewd tubing is fine when it clearly stays in the realm of fantasy. The problem is when it gets mixed with signals of romantic availability through things like "I'm single and looking" posts, paid partner experience tiers, or DMs that feel like real flirting. It's selling the illusion of a relationship and creating a trap for vulnerable viewers. This isn't just an outlier strategy, it's become a blueprint because it works. Some creators leverage vulnerable audiences to drive engagement and spending, which exploits and perpetuates the problem. Before I continue, let's talk a bit more about parasocial relationships. Research literature generally defines them as non-reciprocal socio-emotional connections with media figures such as celebrities or influencers. Put simply, in our situation, viewers may feel a real emotional bond with the streamer that isn't reciprocated. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. According to a 2024 study published in Scientific Reports, these relationships can reduce loneliness and bring a sense of belonging to people who need it. However, the line between healthy parasocial connection and exploitation becomes blurred when creators deliberately leverage this dynamic to extract time and money by suggesting more than a one-sided experience. To be clear, there's nothing wrong with generating income through streaming. Streamers provide real value through entertainment and community. What bothers me is when creators set intentional traps that monetize loneliness and the promise of companionship. It makes me sad to see VTubers use tactics that harm their own fan base, and it fuels the stereotype that VTubers are only about thirst content, when there's so much more. One of my own friends, when we were a lot younger, fell into this pit. They had spent $100 in a single night on a VTuber, not for entertainment value, but because they felt if they didn't donate, the streamer would forget them. That's not supporting a creator, that's paying to feel less alone. And before anyone says it, yes, this happens across all of streaming, not just VTubing. But the avatar-based format can make these dynamics even more intense. Unlike facecam streamers, every aspect of a VTuber's appearance is a deliberate choice. The outfit, the expressions, and the lore. So when someone designs themselves as a lonely cat girl looking for love, viewers can't dismiss it as accidental. The character is the bait, and that makes the manipulation easier to fall into. These dynamics are a two-way street. Responsibility doesn't fall solely on the VTuber. Viewers help shape the culture, and some habits encourage unhealthy boundaries. Many viewers hold VTubers to an idol-like standard. They get upset if they learn their favorite streamer has a partner or an active love life, which pressures creators to hide basic details about themselves. That climate makes normal disclosures feel dangerous, and turns harmless rumors into flashpoints for harassment. Some fans go even further. In November 2024, indie VTuber Camilla cut a stream short when someone attempted to break into her home. Police later identified the intruder as a stalker. In follow-up posts and coverage, Camilla said he tracked her by hiding a device inside a convention gift, leading her to warn other VTubers to carefully inspect fan items. While extreme, this shows how a minority of viewers can turn fixation into real-world risk for creators. Platforms also play a role. Metrics reward engagement at almost any cost, and algorithms surface boundary-blurring content because it performs. Parasocial cues, pet names, constant validation, chat is my girlfriend/boyfriend jokes get amplified by design, and individual creators shoulder the fallout even if the system nudged them there. Agencies are also part of the problem. They exist to turn a profit, and to do that, some agencies slot talent into roles that maximize intimacy with viewers. A 2025 analysis by Odin Law reveals that many VTuber agencies contractually enforce strict image standards that former talents from agencies like Niji Sanji have publicly criticized. To ensure compliance, agencies often rely on restrictive tactics such as auto-renewing contracts that are expensive to exit. Compensation is also typically tied to rigid performance metrics, where missing a quote can trigger pay cuts. Furthermore, because the agency usually owns the model, channel, and merchandise, talents risk losing their entire career identity if they attempt to push back. On top of that, some agencies underinvest in areas that don't directly drive revenue. Many rely on unpaid or lightly trained volunteer mods to manage thousands of parasocial conversations. Then the creator gets faulted when something slips. So altogether, this fake intimate style of streaming trickles down to the indie space because it works. If you want to have a chance at becoming a real VTuber, you feel pressured to do what the pros do or get lost in the crowd. Now, I don't think this describes every VTuber or every agency. Many have built wholesome, fulfilling communities, which is what I strive for too. A specific example is Pickat, a VTuber who focuses on teaching art fundamentals and techniques. I've never once seen them use the tactics I spoke about earlier, yet they've built a lovely community that encourages growth in the arts. I respect them a lot and recommend them to everyone watching. Regardless of some positive examples though, their larger issue remains: creators who purposely lure people in by selling themselves as virtual partners. I want to acknowledge some pushback I expect from this video. Some will say adults are responsible for their own spending, and that's fair. Viewers do have agency. But I'd argue that when creators intentionally design systems to exploit loneliness, it crosses a line from offering entertainment to predatory behavior. Others might point out that many streamers can't make a living without aggressive monetization tactics, and that's a real economic pressure I don't have a perfect answer for. The reality is that streaming is incredibly difficult to sustain financially. But I still think there's a difference between creative monetization and exploiting vulnerability, even if the line isn't always clear. I also want to say that some creators explicitly offer partner experience content, and their audiences know it's roleplay. That's completely fine. It's no different than hiring an actor to perform a character. The problem is when creators pretend that boundary doesn't exist, making vulnerable viewers believe the relationship could become real. So what can we actually do? For creators, set boundaries early. Make it clear that you provide entertainment, not a relationship. Build your membership perks around community and skills, like study halls or art critiques, rather than selling false intimacy. Empower your moderators to shut down love bombing immediately, and enforce a strict business-only DM policy, and always have a crisis plan ready for safety issues. For viewers, treat this like any other hobby. Set a budget. If you're donating to be seen rather than to support a channel, that's a red flag. Join for the community and for the perks, not to buy a relationship. Monitor your own feelings. If you start feeling jealous or possessive, take a step back. Remember that creators are only entertainers. They can't be your therapist, partner, or best friend. For agencies, build sustainable careers, not burn and churn contracts. Offer fair terms, transparent revenue splits, and reasonable exit options. Stop policing your talent's personal lives or forcing intimacy-coded content. Allow talent to retain their own IP and channels, and treat safety, including professional moderation and legal support, as a core business expense, not an afterthought. And finally, for platforms, reward community building, not intimacy bait. Tune your algorithms to prioritize skill-based and educational content, give creators better tools to frame their memberships professionally, and implement features like cooldowns for boundary-pushing chatters. Finally, expand your tools so that reporting doxing or harassment is fast, easy, and effective. I want to mention that I tried to reach out to a whole bunch of small to medium-sized VTubers to get their opinions, and a few actually responded to me. But when I asked them my questions, they all went radio silent, which is a shame because I would have loved to talk to others in the space to get their opinions. But besides that, I want to say that VTubing has given me an incredible community, creative freedom, and some great friendships. But like any industry, it has its problems worth examining. So if you disagree with anything I've said, I genuinely want to hear why in the comments below. That's how we make things better. If you're interested in seeing more, subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm working on some other videos, and I'm only going to get better with each one I make. If you want to see some less serious content, you can head over to my Twitch, where I play games with my chat and we all have a great time. Besides that, I don't have much else to say, except I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.